A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series. The topic for today's session is Big Data and Analytics Together Delivering New Age Analytics. And we have with us today Kumar Ramamurthy. He's the Vice President, Global Practice Head and Chief Technologist, DWBI Information Management Practice at Virtusa Corporation. Very quickly, giving you a brief of Kumar, he has extensive experience in enterprise data architecture, database-related technologies, software platforms, and architecture assessments. He is primarily involved in consulting engagements and transformational assessments for Virtusa at existing and new DWBI clients. Kumar has a proven ability in consulting, selling, driving, delivering large-scale DWBI analytics, EIM and big data development maintenance projects both in the enterprise and ISV spaces, while ably bridging the technical and business worlds to ensure the delivery of the best, most accurate business solutions to clients. Some of the areas of expertise that Kumar is handling currently, they are big data discovery, exploration, acquisition, processing and analytics, and related technologies. Particularly obsessed with SLA-driven engagement models, managed services models, outcome-based pricing models for DW, BI analytics, EIM, and big data projects. Kumar holds a master's in computer science from Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. So yes, I would like to welcome Kumar for today's presentation, taking time out on a Wednesday afternoon and coming here. Here's a quick tip for all the attendees. Kumar will be giving the presentation till about 3:45 p.m. and soon after that we are going to open up for a quick round of question and answer. So request everyone to start sending me the questions maybe from 3:30 p.m. onwards today, and I'm going to pass on the relevant questions over to Kumar, and he will be taking up as many questions as he can during the last 15 minutes of today's session. In case if there is any problem in terms of the quality of the voice, or in case if you're facing any other technical problem, please feel free to drop me a message by using your chat window, and I'll be more than happy to help. So without any further delay, I now hand over the session to Kumar. Kumar, over to you. I am making you the presenter now.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. All right, my name is Kumar Ramamurthy, and I head the EIM practice for Virtusa. A very good afternoon for everyone on this show. Please feel free to post your questions at the end of this session. I'd like to answer as many queries as possible. A couple of logistics items. If you're on the phone and experiencing audio connectivity, switch on. Please switch over to your laptop mic and speakers option. That's another way to actually listen. You can post your questions at the end of the session on the questions pane, and they would be routed, and then I'll try to answer as many as I can. Before we go on to this webinar, what I wanted to do was I just wanted to put out a poll question just to see what the thinking around this topic is. So I would like to ask a poll question. Please choose the right option, and then let's discuss and see where we stand about on this topic before we just delve into this whole topic.
I'm just pulling out the first poll question. Give me a second.
Great.
All right, everyone is taking the poll right now, and I'm going to share the screen or share the answers in about 30-35 seconds. So I'm going to close the poll now and share the answers. As you can see, Kumar, can you see the poll answers on your screen?
No, not really.
Okay, so I'm going to, all the attendees, however, can see the answers, but I'm going to read the answers for you. So around 57% say structured data, tables and records. 21% says unstructured data, which is human language, audio and video. 11% says semi-structured data, XML and similar standards. 7% social media data, which are blogs, tweets, social networks, and 4% says event data, messages, mostly real time. So that's the answer. I'm going to hide the answers, and you can continue with your presentation.
Excellent. So that was a good segue into the first question and where we see what kinds of data that's affecting this big data challenge that the world is facing. Going on to the first slide, right? In today's world, we're seeing analytics have a different meaning. We're seeing that the age and the need for analytics is atypical. It's pretty new in this world. People were thinking about storage. People are thinking about data storage and how to retrieve data. What people are thinking about today is how to get insights from all the data that is persisted in their systems. What can they do with the data that's in their systems that they could use to cross-sell, upsell, make new business offerings, do things that are good, fast, and cheap for their business. This is what the whole mantra is about. So the biggest drivers for big data analytics in the world are the ubiquitous presence of unstructured data. You could see that data is no longer stored very structurally in the world. There's all kinds of data stored in all modes, and people really want to draw analytics from it. They know that there is some hidden gold in that data, right? And they know that their businesses are really vulnerable if they don't get to that. And that's something that they're really trying to do. And they want to get on top of this unstructured data so that they can actually do something useful about it. The second driver is, people have been persisting data, have never been shy of persisting data at all, and storage costs are coming so down and low that that's never going to be a worry. So storing data about your customer or your vendor or any of your stakeholders that govern your business is not going to be a problem. Storage is becoming cheaper and cheaper. So the more data you store, the more gold you can mine. And that's the whole idea. The market also predicts that analytics could lead the industry into a zone where productivity gains can be seen in many verticals, industry verticals. They actually see retail, manufacturing, healthcare, and government. Mostly around the consumer-facing industries. You'll see that there is a lot of stuff that can be done around the consumer-facing industry. It does not mean that the big data doesn't have an implication in the non-consumer-facing industry. There's lots of other things that are there in that. But since there is a lot of data around a consumer, that needs to actually be taking a forefront, and that's taking a forefront, and the consumer benefits are one of the biggest analytics benefits that can be got out of big data. The last driver that's really driving this force is analytics has been a commodity that has been beyond the reach of many business houses. Today, it's not beyond reach, and it's not beyond time too. People are doing near real-time and real-time analytics and trying to get a lot of enriched information and analytics from their data that is hidden inside silos in their organizations. They're able to get the voice of their customer from different other sources outside their data centers. These are some of the primary drivers for big data and analytics adoption in the world. So why analytics and why big data? A survey that's actually in front of you right now shows how people are using analytics to realize competitive advantage. And that's been immense, actually. It's been growing by leaps and bounds. And that increase has been closer to around 70% in the recent few years. People are now going into the zettabyte age. There's a fundamental shift in data. How is it stored? What is it going to be used for? Is it going to be used for just running your business as usual, or is it actually going to be used more to drive benefits and analytics that's going to better serve your business to go to a greater degree? So this whole shift has helped organizations think about data a totally different way. Firms really want customers to be treated as individuals. Why? Because they will lose them if they don't treat their customers as individuals with their own preferences and choices. Firms don't want every customer to be treated as a simple customer. They want every customer of theirs to be special. So that kind of a consumerization is driving people to be treated very special. So consumers are wanting more and more from business houses. So if you look at this survey, what new customer expectations does the organization face? We treat it as individuals is probably the first one. To enjoy the transaction more, easier interaction, it goes. But the biggest thing is to be treated as individuals with individual preference, which means that organizations of today need to know so much more about their customer from their data so that they're able to better serve them. This need is going to totally polarize this industry towards monetizing data about the customer and making sure the customer is getting the right service from any organization that actually is benefiting the customer. This is going to be a big shift in the industry, and we've already seen early adoption into this. We're probably going to get into the next level in the next few years. How is this affecting the IT departments and the IT organizations of different companies? A lot of technology executives, CIOs, CTOs are actually pushing their budget towards different kinds of projects, but they're putting data projects right up ahead in the stream. Now the survey that you right now see in front of you shows, around a big percentage or a chunk of money is actually put towards these kinds of projects. There are other projects that are getting significant traction, but the data-related projects seem to actually hog the limelight. At this point, I would like to immerse a second poll question and get feedback and answers from you guys. Please choose your options, and the survey results would be displayed in like 30 seconds after you choose the option.
I shall close the poll and share the answers now. %52 says unstructured data, moderately important to very important. 29% historical data, diverse sources of data, moderately important. 13% historical data, diverse sources of data, somewhat important. And 6% unstructured data, somewhat important to important. And that's the overall response for this poll so far. I'm going to hide the answers now, and Kumar, please carry on.
This survey from a small sample of audience that you guys have probably shows what kind of technologies IT organizations, CIOs, CTOs will actually be looking to invest in to actually solve this problem. They're actually going to look at the ones that you guys chose. It's probably pretty fair in terms of what kind of challenges they pose in actually tackling this big data mass, right? So they probably have a good handle over the structured piece. They probably actually need help, and they see a lot of gold in this unstructured piece, and that's where there is a justification towards projects being high in that area, the budgets being allocated towards that area, and the market shift also going towards consumer, and the consumer benefiting more from data about him lying in organizations. If we were to expand that thought further around what CIOs, CTOs, and and technology geeks in companies who are driving business innovation are trying to do, they're actually looking at 4 different technology paradigms. They're looking at social data, they're looking at mobility, analytics, and cloud. Sweetly termed as SMAC in the world. They're using the SMAC technologies so that they're able to speak, react, and transact with the customer and communicate with him in a very agile way. These are things and capabilities that are being provided to the consumer to interact with the business in a never seen way before. So the customer has many channels to interact. He can actually interact in a mobile way. He can actually use cloud to interact through some cloud applications, or he can actually interact with the business in a social way. So he's able to benefit from so many different channels of interacting with the business services that he's getting from the business, right? And all that ability, while it actually helps the consumer, what is it actually doing to the businesses? It is actually helping business deliver data instantly to the customer, not have him wait for hours to get the data that he needs. He has data at his fingertips. It's also transforming the business to a shape where the business is becoming very agile, and in an effect, the CTOs and the CIOs of the organization are actually transforming their business to take age-old technology investments, modernize them, and get them to a new age technology platform that's actually going to serve and benefit their business transformation as well as the consumerization a lot more. So this is actually the biggest shift in the market that we see. Let's talk about deriving value from unstructured data. Yeah, we know there is unstructured data about the customer that exists. Lots of V's around big data that's being used, volume, velocity, variety. People talk about all of these things, right? How is that going to help? What's the value that lies? Yeah, there is data. What is the value? What kind of value has been seen in this unstructured data? Let's take some examples, right? These might be just a few examples. There might be many more examples that people start dreaming about, people start looking at, as data scientists start looking at this data. They might come up with n number of more such options. But a few of them, just for you guys to get a feel of what the industry is looking at is, how to integrate structured data and unstructured data in verticals like healthcare and insurance, right? How to gather sentiment around some topic in your business, right? How to mine text or do text analytics so that, some pattern matching could be done, flagging some customer who's vexed and is about to close his account. How do you appease him to actually stay on, or how to find if a fraudulent transaction in midlife or in mid-flight or before the transaction expires, how to find out that it is a fraudulent transaction. How can you actually make some sense out of a fraudulent transaction and try to report a little more or add more stringent vigilance into that even before it transpires its life cycle, right? These are some of the use cases, right? Mostly all of the use cases fall in a good, fast, or cheap category. When I mean good, fast, cheap, that's probably the easiest way to find or derive value. If you're able to do something good to your business, for example, I was not able to find fraudulent transactions on time, right? That's a good feature that your business can benefit from having these big data initiatives. I can do something faster than I was able to do with legacy technologies, or I can do something cheaper because I can put a lot of this kind of technology on commodity hardware. So good, fast, and cheap are three good paradigms or dimensions to measure the derived value from unstructured data. If IT organizations are in a binding to actually make an ROI or a business case for a big data initiative in an organization. We've seen that happen a lot. We also talked about new age analytics when we started this presentation, right? Many different technologies have had versions and upgrades, and industry acronyms for versions like Web 1.0, Web 2.0. Analytics also has seen something like that. People are talking about analytics of yesteryear 1.0, analytics That's emergence of large, fast-moving, unstructured data, and lots of new interesting sources, analytics 2.0. And 3 is, analytics that measure the business impact by combining all pieces of data that exist about your business, right? Totally in control of your data. You're taking data-driven decisions. You're actually doing a lot of data science. So there's some kind of an analytics 1, 2 to 3 upgrade, in a sense, happening, which is probably not advertised in the same manner, but this is exactly what's going on in the market, in the analytics market. Another topic to talk about was about the 4 strategic goals of big data. People, when they go through this, see the value of data, they have their IT organizations budget for them. They start on a project. They want to really know what strategic goals, such solutions that they build could be. The basic goals, the basic premise of any application should be around these. These functions should be in any big data solution. You're capturing, storing, you're analyzing and marshalling data. You're actually sharing generously so that it could be again shared generously by other people. And you're always trying to continuously accommodate new sources. If you're able to build a system with these characteristics, that's pretty close to a big data initiative that you have. You might use different kinds of technologies, but if they have 2 or more of these goals, you are building a big data solution, right? You might be tackling 1 source, 2 sources, but if you have mechanisms to tackle more, if you're sharing them for other people to benefit, if you're analyzing and marshalling them, if you're capturing and acquiring them and storing them in a very efficient manner, you are doing some kind of a big data initiative already in your organization. Another question that usually comes up, very interesting and important one. A lot of companies already have investments in legacy ETL, analytics, reporting functions. How do you see this new age analytics, big data initiatives, new technology? Is that going to cannibalize what is already been invested in? Is that going to wipe out everything? There's going to be a happy medium. We've seen organizations that don't shed their existing investments in technology. We've always seen organizations build a big data ecosystem that runs parallelly to an existing legacy EDW or an enterprise data warehouse. What's the difference, right? The difference is much more in a mindset than in a technology. If you look at traditional IT, EDWs or enterprise data warehouses or data warehousing systems that were built, they were built for a point purpose. The business was always the driver. Where business was saying, they were giving you specific instructions as to, or we need this report, or we need this piece of analytics for us to run the business. And IT found a project to do that, or devised a project to do that, and get them back the answer. The shift is still that business is asking questions, but business is asking larger questions. It's saying, capture me all data onto a platform that's been ever available about my customer. And so IT has now a mammoth task of going about searching the world and getting all data that's existing about the customer and the business put onto a scalable platform so that data science can be done, or a lot of analytics can be done at will, faster and cheaper. That's what they're asking. So it's a bigger project than asking for a point project in a world that we exist in. Are these two worlds going to coexist? Absolutely. All these two worlds will coexist. One's not going to cannibalize the other one. So these two worlds are going to coexist, and you would see that the new world is actually going to enable to do things faster, better, and cheaper, and the old world is going to sustain a lot of business as usual activities, which are also important to the top line and bottom line of the company. So there's going to be a healthy coexistence, and this is one of the strategies that we've seen many Fortune 500 companies use, where they call this an EDW big data coexistence, and that's something that we see very much in the industry. At this point, I would like to introduce one more poll question, and once you choose your options on the poll question, the results would be shown in like 30 seconds. That should be quick. It's a pretty simple one.
So 75% says no, and 25% says yes.
Yeah, it's pretty. The question was, does your organization have a big data strategy in place, right, for dealing with big data analytics? Right? Yeah, it's pretty fair to say that most companies don't. Some companies are in the process of getting there. Some companies have been some early adopters. So those numbers seem pretty okay. One other way to measure the value that big data and analytics from big data brings to an organization is to look at it in terms of the analytics maturity from 1 to 2 to 3, analytics 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 like we talked about. Right? If you look at this infographic or this graphic, you know, you see a lot on the left side that a lot of organizations do operational analytics. They are able to actually look at KPIs, they're able to look at trends, they're able to forecast. Probably some people do gut feel forecast, some people use some kind of a mechanized way and a data-driven way to forecast. They have rules that can be applied on top to do forecasts. So they're able to do operationally whatever they need, right? A few other organizations have gone one step further. They're able to actually take historical data and apply seasonal or variable parameters on top and get some analytical insights, add seasonality, mix, if it's retail ad, any other things that affect their business, you know, and do some analytical insights. What organizations haven't been able to do, but are starting to do, is actually predict. And that's hence the term predictive analytics, right? Are they able to predict something that could actually hit the roof, right? Are they able to predict something that actually could make them stock more for their business if they are a wholesale guy or a retail guy, right? Such predictions haven't been done. Big data is giving people an opportunity to do that. The last one, or probably the cusp of it, is actually prescriptive analytics, where people are able to operationalize analytics, they're able to do insights, they're able to predict. If they're able to predict, and if they're able to predict that with a higher degree of accuracy, how can they prescribe that as something to change the way their business does? It's a whole cycle where, you know, a prediction goes from being a prediction to an accurate prediction, or to with a higher degree, and then it becomes a prescription so that it helps your business change. In many terms, it becomes a way to self-heal your own business when your business runs into a problem. That's probably a huge ask, but organizations will be driven to that goal as more and more data becomes available and more big data technologies help them actually harness this power of data. That's one way to measure. If you look at the right side, you know, the operational analytics capabilities actually gave them business monitoring capabilities. Analytical insights gave them business insights. Predictive analytics is actually going to give them a way to optimize their business, and if they use that data very cleverly, it's going to actually give them a way to monetize that data. There's going to be a day when people say that this analytics or this piece of project that actually fetches me this analytics has given me a cross-sell or an upsell of so many dollars. People are not measuring that today, but someday they're soon able to show that value, and that day is not far off. And if people are able to prescribe and make their businesses better and self-healing, you know, they're achieving some new heights in business transformation, right? So that probably is a cycle where if big data stands its hype and goes through the technology evolution, and then if people start embracing it in the manner that they have been embracing, we probably will touch these kinds of heights if data is harnessed well. That's something that's yet to be seen, but it's showing all signs of getting there. One other topic that is usually mentioned when people talk about analytics, new age analytics, big data, is, hey, we have BI capabilities. What's this data science capability, right? How is it different from traditional business intelligence? In BI, you decide which data will be relevant for your business, and you want reporting and analytics and BI capabilities on that. Data science is exactly the opposite. You run algorithms of all kinds, successful and successful, to find that nugget that helps you find a model to run your business well. So you might run n number of algorithms and find, a majority of them not useful, but you might find a few nuggets which actually help you find the right ones for your business. So data science is more geeky in that sense, where you're actually finding the right pattern data or the right science that is already there existing in a data that you could actually use, or the right analytics that could be surfaced to help your data, to help your business grow further, right? So that's the classic difference between BI and data science. Data scientists unleash algorithms on data to find decision and predictive models, right? Typical data scientists have a statistician or a statistics background, and a typical BI analyst has reporting capabilities, reporting tool knowledge, or business reports knowledge, regulatory compliance kind of reporting knowledge. The data scientists of today are actually going to look to statistics and algorithms that exist to machine learn when scenarios happen in business and adopt to those kinds of things. So the data scientists of today's world are going to be totally much more different than the BI people that existed in the past. At this point, I would like to introduce a poll question, and once again, you'd have choices, and if you could actually pick a choice, the result would be shown in like 30 seconds after you choose.
I'm going to close the poll now and share the answers. 43% says CTO and CIO, 31% says heads of line of business, 22% head of analytics, and 5% says other.
So the question was, big data analytics initiatives need to be driven from the top. Who do you think needs to drive it? Pretty interesting answer. A lot of people say CTO, CIO, head of analytics. I've not seen any title as head of analytics in an organization yet, but there's someone who heads that function, right? Typically, it's the heads of that line of business who really knows what analytics is actually giving him or not giving him or her, and they mandate it. So you could see that, and there are several other titles too. It's probably a very indecisive question on that side, right? What is actually anticipated is the rise of another CXO position. It's a rise of someone called a CAO, a Chief Analytics Officer, or a Chief Data Officer, right? People call Chief Data Officer, Chief Analytics Officer the same, pretty much. This person is the person who would be responsible for all data that exists about the business and its transactional stakeholders and its any other stakeholders around the business that govern the business, a customer, a vendor, or anything else, or even sentiment about the business, different sources of data, structured, unstructured, all kinds of data. What is a span source of data about a business? What is noise in the data? What is accurate? What is not accurate? This person will be responsible for a lot of such functions where he's able to get to the business all the data that exists about them so that it's available on a platform for them to harness. He's probably going to drive majority, he or she is probably going to drive majority of those initiatives, big data initiatives. He's probably not going to worry much about the existing EDW and the investment in technology there. He's probably actually trying to complement it by adding these technology capabilities to organizations so that they can actually better harness the value of data and take all the nuggets that are available in that business. He's actually going to be a chief steward, actually, in that sense, where he's going to forge a lot of partnerships between business, who probably is a little slow in understanding this value of big data. He's going to be an evangelist. He's probably going to create or pick a few lines of business and then get them going on that. Use that as an evangelist in the organization to say, hey, this is what big data can do. It's going to go to different lines of business, get that done within those organizations or within those departments in that organization, and then build probably an ecosystem, help select technologies, right technologies, because on the technology front, this person's going to have a huge challenge because there are dime a dozen companies that actually do this kind of work. And there are already dime a dozen technologies that are invested in the regular EDW world. Some of these EDW technology investments may have big data extensions. Do you choose that? Do you choose a totally new technology? It's going to help abstract all these decisions by making those things happen so that business is oblivious of what technology actually is getting them the value from data. That's where this person is actually going to help organizations a lot. And we actually see that this position probably is going to come out sooner or later, right? There's already talks about chief data officer in many organizations. Whether that's going to be called a chief analytics officer or not is a question. But CDO or CIO are pretty synonymous to many in the industry. So with that, we come to the conclusion of this webinar. I would like for you guys to post your questions and send them out. We'll be seeing a set of questions. We'll pick them in order and try to answer as many as we can in the next few minutes that we have. We have a few minutes, so we'll give you a couple of minutes to send your questions on your questions window.
Thank you, Kumar, for giving the presentation. I've received a bunch of questions so far. Give me just about 3-4 minutes. I'm quickly going to sort through and send across some.
And the audience, please feel free to type any questions you need to. At the end of the session, we would also give you coordinates as to reach out to Kumar, myself, so that you could actually send your questions, and we'll try to answer those in the most quickest possible way.
Well, Kumar, please confirm if you are receiving the questions. You may look into your questions window right now.
Yes. I'll take the first question. What skills should one possess to take up a career in analytics? In other words, what kinds of skills do firms want to have in an analytics profession? It's a very broad question, but I'll say now. If you look at the Big Data Maturation Index slide that I showed you, it talks about analytics varying from operational to business insights to predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics, right? If you're looking at doing operational analytics, the skills that are probably available in the market to do reporting analytics using technologies and tools that are available in the market are good enough, right? But if you're looking at predictions and predictive analytics and predictive modeling and all that kind of stuff, you're looking at you being a good data scientist. You're looking at understanding statistics pretty well, looking at understanding a little more of operational research, having a mindset that looks at things to look into data. What does not come out of the data that I look at? What can come out of data if I actually apply models, right? Thinking about machine learning. These are the kinds of skills one should possess to advance if they want to advance their analytics maturity themselves. A second question I have is, I'm a mainframe resource and would like to move to big data. Would it help me in any way? I think the answer is in the question itself. In today's world, the biggest source of big data that is not harnessed is probably outside in the unstructured. There's a lot of data on those mainframes that are not analyzed. They are sources of big data too. So I don't see a reason why moving to a new technology like that would not help someone. Absolutely. I see another question. Says, any chance that big data will take over normal databases like Oracle or DB2? What's the major difference between a big data database and a relational database was the question. I think you're comparing apples and oranges. Big data has nothing to do whether it's relational or non-relational, structured or unstructured, or big data is data, all data combined together, right? That's big data. If you start comparing apples and oranges, that's not the right comparison. I think you should look at, relational databases will exist. They have a place for structured applications. You need that for structured behavior, structured applications. Big data applications have their own existence where you have, data that you want to crunch faster, SLAs that you want to beat, you want to do things much faster in life than you could, much better, and you want to harness value out of where you want to combine data sources, you want to slice and dice data sources, big data sets, that's what you're looking at, right? Those are the capabilities you're looking at. So these are not valid comparisons in how I see them. See another question. Currently we are running behind big data now. What will be the next big thing in 5 to 10 years? Can big data hold its ground after 10 years? It's probably a prediction again, right? If someone had an analytics application around this, they would probably predict that it's going to stay for a long while. One of the reasons why it will stay for a long while is because it will change the way business is done. A lot of business that's done today is not data-driven. What big data is going to bring to businesses is not analytics capabilities alone. What it's going to bring to businesses is data-driven science. Every decision that is made, it's going to eliminate a lot of gut feel in forecasts, a lot of guesstimates and human estimates, right? It's going to eradicate all of those and make many things systemic by actually making behavior data-driven. And that is going to stay for a long time, right? And at that point in time, there might be something else that comes up that's probably much more needed for that age or that day in time. I don't know if we will live to see that. But I think big data is here to stay for a lifetime. See another question. In BI, we see batches reposted. How do we handle it when we use big data since we don't have updates available in big data? The question of batches doesn't apply here again. I'll tell you why. Because if you have a big data capability, whether you actually take data from day 1 to the millionth day of your existence of your business and crunch all the data together, or you're taking just yesterday's data, if you have big data capabilities, you should be able to do both those in an equally amicable way. So the concept of batches and repurposing and really doesn't exist, right? If you have a big data capability, you're able to you have capabilities to take in different sources at way more than normal speeds that you're used to, and at way more than different frequencies that you have ever been used to. If you think about big data that way, then your question around batches probably is not existent in that architecture at all. See a question, what's the scope for Hadoop? I want to pursue a course, please advise. Tons of literature available. One of the most important ones that I have actually personally taken is Coursera. If you look at Coursera, they probably have the best courses around what to do. And there's tons of documentation also available, tons of free software for you to download. So Coursera and that together probably is the best starting point. What would be a realistic tools architecture for analytics with big data versus open source? I think the technology adoption has to be looked at not only from what is shiny in the market. There are many shiny tools that do a specific thing in the market that are touted as big data products. There are platforms that can be created where you can create applications on top. There are distributions that help you do certain functions. So it's a careful selection of all of these dimensions and trying to make sure you might have already invested in some legacy tools, taking that into account and find out the right platform and technology and architecture. It's a very complex decision. It's not like you choose something, right? To that effect, you know, most of the places where at least Virtusa has actually helped businesses grow their big data ecosystem, we've always started off, apart from the evangelization of big data, we've always started off with technology initiatives by actually doing a product selection, right, or a ecosystem architecture selection. And we've done proofs of concepts and points of views on several technologies just to measure them by dimensions that the business actually really merits, and done a weighted scoring and picked the right distribution, whether it's a Hadoop distribution, a Horton or a MapR or something like that, or whether it's a full-scale ecosystem provider for big data distributions like Platform or something like that, right? It has to be a choice based on the dimensions that are most needed for that business. How feasible is it for a person who's in the middle of his career to, with database background, to jump into analytics? I think it's pretty easy if you have your database fundamentals right, and if you could actually start thinking about data not being structured and get your head around data not being structured, and losing the concept of schema and losing the concept and thinking about data in a very schemaless way. I think then having thought about data in a schema way and then thinking about data in a schemaless way will actually give a very different perspective, and you start looking at data in a different way. I think it's a perfect jump for someone to do that. Can we get some examples of what big data has done for retail? Basket analysis, when the person is in store, looking at the person's coordinates within a large store, trying to actually make sure that promotions are delivered to him in a faster way on his handheld or his mobile. You know, optimization on the back end for retail, where you know their warehouses can be filled faster, cheaper, and better with inventory that can be moved, or that is predicted to move faster from their inventory. Measuring how stale inventory can be in a warehouse and trying to minimize that stale factor. These are some of the things that retail companies are doing in the world to use to make good use of big data. I see a lot of questions around tools, and I think we've answered that very well. There is no one fit for all sites. You've got to do a real product evaluation to see how does it affect your existing technology investments, how does it help what you're trying to use big data for, to do good things, faster things, or cheaper, but things cheaper than you've done before, and then look at it. See another question around what are the skills that one needs to become a data scientist from a BI data analyst. I think the core fundamental is if you're actually a BI or a data analyst, your mindset is you're in search of an answer for something, right? That you know what the question is. For most data scientists, the question doesn't exist. They're actually looking at the data to find the question for which the answer they can figure out. The question itself doesn't exist. What can the data tell me that I don't know, or that my business does not know? BI analysts and data analysts don't work with that mindset, right? They're actually finding an answer that exists in the data, right? These guys, the other guys, don't even know that answer exists. They don't even know the question. They're actually running models and algorithms on the data to find out what happens. They're just trying to analyze data to the core to find out how it's going to help. That's the difference in mindset. And you know what kind of skills that needs. So that's the difference. I see a question, how is big data EDW different than a classic EDW? There is no difference in an EDW created by a big data and a classic EDW. As long as they might be modeled different, they might have different architectures. But if you already have an EDW, you would not use big data to create another EDW. You would actually use big data to create capabilities that your current EDW is not able to handle. Why would you create two EDWs that perform the same functions in two different technology paradigms? You would not. So that would probably be considered a waste of investment. So you would have to look at big data technologies to see what capabilities does big data bring to augment what you have or not have in your regular EDW or in your existing EDW. What is the future scope for data scientists? I think the future scope for data scientists is very, very huge. It's at a stage where you can't even measure it because it's going to actually give rise to another phenomenon where people are going to start a lot of startups, a lot of .coms. These are going to be data-based startups, data-driven startups where people are going to actually give business offerings, new business service offerings based on their data science knowledge and what they derive out of data, right? That's going to be a huge thing. So it's too early to measure its value, but it's already showing signs of it being much, much larger. So being a data scientist is probably a good thing to be as of today, or if you're already in the path of getting there, you're probably onto something big. I find another question, many distributions, MapR, Hortons, Adapt, Cloudera, which one to choose, why, when, how. Again, one size doesn't fit all, so you just have to be very careful about and prudent about the technology investments you have already made, the vendors that you've already chosen, your enterprise licenses, what are you trying to achieve, good features, do things faster or cheaper, what are your goals, do a weighted average score against these dimensions and capabilities that you want to procure into this big data ecosystem that you're building that doesn't exist in your EDW, and then rank these distributions and platforms available for you to develop big data. applications, see which one of them lines up the best, and probably even do a POC, see a return on investment before you evangelize that to an organization. Also build capability. Most companies you've seen, just like the data warehousing, analytics, or a BI is a horizontal for the whole organization. We're seeing data scientists and big data teams also be horizontals in a company. These guys are horizontals helping business, but they have analysts or data scientists who have a larger degree of background in that particular line of business, because no data scientist is going to be born with a golden spoon to understand your business and drive benefits to your business in the data, unless he learns or knows that part of the business very well. So it has to be a happy culmination of marriage of both, the knowledge on what the business is as well as how to use the data that exists for that business and to gain maximum value from the data that exists around that business. It has to be a happy marriage of both. Those probably are some of the questions. A few other questions, but they're pretty similar to what has been asked before. So I've tried to pick as many unique questions as possible. So if you really want to look at Virtusa's enterprise information management offerings, please look at the website or the link. If you have any sales inquiries, please send an email to the email that's there on the screen. And if you want to reach me or email for any question, my email is kumar@virtusa. Once again, thank you for being a patient audience, and thank you for taking the poll surveys and listening to this webinar. And thank you, TechGig, for organizing this wonderful webinar.
Thank you so much, Kumar, for taking up those questions, and I'm sure we will be able to share similar questions with you offline. Even the attendees can come on techgeek.com and post their queries on our discussion forum, and perhaps you can take a look at the questions there and post your answers on the discussion forum itself. Otherwise, as you have already shared your email address, they'll probably send some more questions with you later. The recording of today's session will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow afternoon. So I was going through some of the queries, and I saw a lot of people actually joined in later. So I think this will come really handy if you could go through the entire recording session tomorrow, and you can always touch base with us if there is any more feedback or suggestions around the webinar, and of course questions, you can also pass it over to us. Thank you so much once again, Kumar, and thanks everyone for taking time out and making this webinar a grand success. Thanks so much.
Thanks, my pleasure.